this point, you should have exported your notes from whatever note-taking app you use, and you should have placed them in a folder that's easy to access, that you know where it is. In my case, I've put them inside of downloads, sample markdown notes, and here they are. Now we're going to upload them to a cloud storage from where the second brain OS is going to be able to pull them. Now, one of the cloud storages that you've not heard about or never saw it as one is GitHub. And you'd probably think GitHub is for coders. Actually, before anything else, it's a fast, lightweight cloud drive, especially for those files that aren't very heavy like videos. So it's great for notes, it's great for images, it's great for a lot of static content. So you're going to start off by creating an account. I'm going to go here and create one right now. And I'm going to press continue. Green. Over here, you want to create a repository. A repository is like a folder on a cloud drive. That's literally what it is. So you want to name this repository something. Ideally, you should call it My Notes. Right? And then just leave this empty and just set it to private and create repository. The next step is really simple. You press this link over here, upload an existing file. Now you're going to upload your notes wherever they are. So just keep them handy. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to just select all these markdown files and bring them here. And because I want to keep in mind Google Keep users as well, so I'm going to bring in all the files from Google Keep as well. Just as a reminder, if you're coming from Google Keep, what you need are the JSON or an image files. You don't need the HTML files. If you do upload them, it's fine. They'll just be ignored. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to upload all these files. And yeah. You can upload up to 100 files at a time, which is a fairly large number, so should be good to go. Then commit the changes. That essentially means begin the upload process, and that's done. Now that you've uploaded the files, the next step is to install the GitHub Second Brain OS integration. Head over here into the form. I'm going to type in the email. Use the email that you used to sign up for the Second Brain OS, just by the way, and pick Install GitHub Integration from here. Press Submit. It will redirect you to GitHub and it'll ask for your permission. You have one of two choices. I would prefer that you create a brand new account just for this purpose if you're already a GitHub user, and just select all repositories to make things easier. Or you can select specific repositories should you want to. So in this case, I'm just going to select all repositories, install and authorize, and you'll be back and done. So once this is done, you can now make an import request. Just once you've installed the GitHub integration, make sure to just wait like 1 minute. 60 seconds is all I'm asking for, so that all the processes at my end have completed. Usually it's way faster than that, but just on the safe side, just 1 minute is what I recommend. So with that in mind, you need to fill this information in, your email, GitHub username. This is really important. And your GitHub username is the one that you use when you signed up. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to do this. And the repository name. So the reason why I mentioned earlier that it's ideal that you select all repositories is so that if you want to do this process over and over again, and you have multiple repositories with different names, you should be able to do so. That's the benefit of selecting all repositories when you're installing the the Second Brain OS GitHub integration. So what note-taking app you're coming from, and you're going to press Submit Form. Now we're going to head over to our email, and you'll get an email from me. Yep. It's going to tell you how much time the entire process is going to take. In this case, I've said it's going to take 7.5 minutes. Hey there, thanks for making the request. Your notes are being imported. It'll be done in 7.5 minutes. Usually it will be way, way faster than that. Obviously, I've given a time at the higher end just in case. But yeah, typically it's a very fast process at the back. And it's already done. That was way less than 7.5 minutes. So you're going to head over to Notion, and you'll see that these notes are now immediately present. Yep. Here are the notes that have just been imported. So you can see the time up here is 3:57 p.m. These notes came in around that 3:56, 3:57 mark. Um, I expect pretty much 100% success rate. So pretty much all of your notes that you import should land in to Notion. So I can just count how many they are. That happened today, January 21st. That's showing a total of 15. Okay, let's just see if we have 15 notes over here. So we have 1, 2, and 3 over here, and hopefully we have 12 over there. Yep, so that's 12 over there, and 3 inside from Google Keep. So that's a total of 15 notes, and all of them have come in. Now, if you ever have to import more notes, the process is fairly simple. All you're going to do is going to go here into repositories, create a new repository. I'm just going to call this more notes. And I'm going to set it to private and create repository. Click on upload an existing file. And then I'm going to go here. These are some random notes that I found from my past. I'm just going to add them here, upload them. It's 73 files, but it still should be fast. Once you're done uploading, you'll head back to the form. Just hit refresh once. Once you've refreshed, just enter all the details again. And in this case, since I created a new repository, I'm going to use the name of that repository. In this case, it's more-notes, so more notes. And I'm just going to type in whatever. This time I'm coming from some old version of Notion, so I'm going to say that, submit form. And the same process from here, from me telling you how long it's going to take to import your notes, and 2, you'll get an email once the import process has finished. Let's take a moment to appreciate how far you've come. You now have a superpower, one that helps you recollect past ideas, find forgotten ones, and bring them together. You now have a version of yourself that never gets tired, understands your needs, and helps you find what you need when you need it. The ability to use your knowledge with any large language model out there is the basis of every great AI tool, and that power is now in your hands. You'll see it come to life as you take notes and as you write digitally. Today's session is going to be very precise, very short. I'll show you how I search through my notes and bring my knowledge together. But then I want to give you the space to do it on your own, in your own way, because using the Second Brain OS is unique to every person. The way you bring your knowledge together and the way you search through it is something that's going to be unique to you. So, with that in mind, let's dive straight into it and let's start chatting with our notes. So, just a quick recap, now our notes are inside the Second Brain operating system. It's time to have fun and start chatting with them. Head over to your email and search for added a chatbot. As soon as you do, you'll get to this email. It has the link to the custom GPT, the Second Brain OS custom GPT to be exact. So before you head to it, make sure to copy this chatbot ID over here and then click the link. Now, the first message you send it, just send it the chatbot ID and it will start the authentication process. And from here, it's going to ask for your email just to be able to access and interact with your knowledge. Great, we're in. Now I'm going to ask you to search something very specific, which I found in my own notes. So previously, I remember I was working with a tool called VWeb, and VWeb was essentially a no-code interface for these a no-code front end for all these tools. And so we then outgrew it, and we used a different option. So let me just see if it can search through my knowledge to find that. What are my thoughts around VWeb and its alternatives? Can you bring my ideas around this together and do a large search? So you can say, stuff like a large search, a small search, a medium search. This is essentially how many results you wanted to bring in. Okay, so it's gotten all that information. Let's see what it brings us. Yeah, this is the main thing I wanted it to give it to me. The alternatives and the comparison. And it's done, in my opinion, a pretty good job. These are all the ones that I identified and researched at the time. So I'm just going to pick one of these at random. Let's pick this one, Xano and Superbase. I'm going to go into my Second Brain OS over here. and press Command K, which is the shortcut to search in Notion. And I'm going to just write the Sano and Superbase. So yeah, it's landed me exactly on one of the notes that it's taken information from. And I'm just going to type in those words again. So let me just see if we can find something for either one at least. Yeah, we see this, and we definitely see the other tool as well. That's Superbase. So yeah, it's found my detailed notes and figured out how I went through the process of actually comparing and making a decision. Great. Now let me show you another really specific example. So a while back, I was thinking about how personal brand is very similar to a mesh network. And so the idea of a mesh network, unlike normal networks in your home, are that a mesh network becomes stronger with every device that you add to it. So for example, if you have, let's say, a HomePod, and then you add maybe a light bulb to it, then the mesh network needs to become stronger if they support that kind of tech. So I feel like personal branding is like that. You add more content, and each content then amps up the previous piece of content, and then you have a web of content. So this was my idea at the time. So I'm going to say, based on my knowledge, what's the relationship between building a personal brand and mesh network effects? Can you explain my ideas in my words in detail? So now what it's going to do is it's going to find all these different associations that I've made around mesh networks and personal branding, bring them together, and present them in a cohesive format. Okay, building a personal brand involves establishing a consistent identity across your niche, interest, and outcomes. It's not just the visibility, but also creating a narrative that reflects authenticity, reliability, and expertise. So the mesh network effects, this is the one we want. Mesh networks are interconnected nodes in this case, people or audiences. That's pretty good. That's from my knowledge, where every new connection strengthens the whole system. As your personal brand grows, it leverages these effects to spread faster and reach broader audiences. Your brand just doesn't depend on individual efforts. Each person who interacts with or supports your brand becomes a node in your network. Now, interesting, this is a point that I particularly forgot. I thought mesh network effects were all around content, but the reality is they're around the people who talk about you, the people who share your content, the people who engage with your content. That is essentially a mesh network effect blossoming through your personal brand, right? So that is what is found through my knowledge. And a unique advantage of network effects in personal branding is the ability to borrow authority. Okay, I forgot about this, honestly. In fact, I'm going to just make sure that I did get this from my knowledge. So I'm just going to say borrow authority and search through my knowledge to see what I find on this. So Command K and borrow authority. Yep, it's landed me on this. I have mentioned the words borrow authority somewhere or something related to it. Yep, borrowing authority is what I mentioned. Building a brand allows you to leverage mesh network effects, and in turn, borrowing authority as a function of credibility. Okay, it's brought it together, and it's actually done a pretty good job. When you connect with this, now this last one, I'm going to make things really tough for the large language model, in this case ChatGPT. I'm asking it, from my knowledge, can you tell me where the idea of mesh networks became relevant to me in the first place? And what was I doing at that time that led me to mix these ideas with personal branding? So based on that, here's what it's found. It says your interest in mesh networks likely started with smart home systems. Notes reference technologies like thread networks. At the time, you were exploring frameworks like Thread and understanding their capabilities. This exploration likely inspired parallels with how ideas and people connect in personal branding. Building a system for ideas. You were setting up systems to interconnect your thoughts in the second brain OS, where each new node would reshape the entire network. That's absolutely true. I was working on home automation, and I was working on the second brain OS at the time. During this time, you were also experimenting with email campaigns and Substack. You noticed that the way content repurposing frameworks work, like Nicholas Cole's, could multiply touch points was similar to how mesh networks amplify connections. That's absolutely true. So I was thinking about how personal branding fits in within the ecosystem of the second brain OS, and a big part of that is content repurposing. So it's absolutely brought those connections spot on. So yeah, it's done a very, very good job at bringing me back to the point of where I was working on home automation. I was thinking in day and night out about how to configure and structure the second brain OS, and I was working on ideas on how I would repurpose content. It's literally brought all of that knowledge together, and it's shown me where those thoughts started from. And the best part, it's a great stimulus for me to refresh my thoughts. If I were to do this or attempt to do this on Obsidian, A, it would be manual, and B, it would never be as good as the neural network inside my head. So this is just a far better, a far more superior, and a far low effort stimulus that works in a natural format, in a way that my brain actually likes it, while without making me work twice as hard. So yeah, it's done a great job. So it said the idea became a significant bridge between mesh networks and branding. In mesh networks, devices strengthen each other's connectivity. Similarly, in personal branding, collaborating with others or borrowing authority enhances your credibility, reach, and creating stronger and more resilient brand. So it's done a good job. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you how something so difficult, so complex, can be achieved with the second brain operating system, primarily because it can see the intricacies of connections, the directions in which knowledge is pointing from one angle to another. And that's what I worked really hard to make sure in the second brain OS. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait for you to find forgotten ideas that have probably been catching dust in your notes. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do with the second brain OS for yourself.